welcome to Lineage Lessons. I'm Rachelle.
I'm
We're
Dorielle.
mother and daughter, and we just really enjoy doing this podcast to discuss the.
Bye. All right. Welcome to this episode of Lineage
Hey,
Lessons. I'm
I'm
Dorielle.
Rachelle.
And we are here and we're gathered as mother and daughter to parlay a little bit about our relationship and hopefully through our storytelling offer a new and insightful way to approach your relationship with your family members and people that you love. So I would love for us on this episode to kind of reflect, have this be a reflection period. This is December for us. And so, as the year is ending and we started this beautiful journey of lineage lessons together, I would love for us to reflect and see what growth has come about so far. And, just re clarifying our intention for this sharing, as we're calling it, and furthermore, maybe talk about some objective perspectives that we've gotten from people in the community through our sharing. And so, yeah, that's what this episode is.
So, yeah, thanks for that. I think the first thing for me is how easy this was to start. We
That
were
is
having a
true.
conversation. Daria was like, we should probably record this. I was like, sure. And then she was like, we should probably put it up somewhere. I was like, uh-huh.
Right?
And
Right?
then I brought some microphones from Amazon.
That's simple.
Yeah. And so I think that says to me there was a readiness, there was a willingness, there was a desire to not just unpack, but to be able to stand in our own purpose as allowing people to learn. So one of the things, both of us are educators, and Doria's been telling me for years that I work in a healing space, and I've been like categorically denying it. Like, I am an educator, not a healer, right? What I've come to learn is that healing can look different. And I think the way that I saw healing is like you got to go in, there needs to be fire, and then there needs to be like a campground.
So dramatic. It's like, girl, you
There
doing
needs to be like, you have to sort of, like have peyote. I don't know. But like in my mind, healing was like something other, right? Or for people who actually do work in a social healing space, I didn't want to be like encroaching. But what I have learned is so many people talk to me about when you talk, I listen. When you are able to create space for me, I feel better. And that to me can be a kind of healing. And I just had to kind of wrap my mind around that. So number one, it was easy. Number two, I think we needed to engage in this. And then what I've been hearing from folks is it was good for them. And that was really surprising for me. Because when you go through something, you're like, I don't think anybody really needs this. But
Hmm.
maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Thank you for sharing that. I do agree that there is a lot of, I want to say, ambiguity to healing. Yeah, there's like a up in the air taking form. And I think I really think of things in a philosophical, theoretical approach, being that healing is subjective. And there's multiple ways to heal as there are multiple ways to be injured. And so I think that the things that we are healing may not be peyote adjacent, ayahuasca, mushroom adjacent, but quality of life, like being a teacher and being there every day and causing direct impact, to youth or to other individuals. And so I love that reflection of the podcast, us being ready, being willing. I think for me, this gives me an alternative space to explore therapeutic ways of holding dialogue. And that was a really like dramatic ass way to say talking to my mom helps me. Because I think we did do like a family therapy for a moment. That shit was expensive and it was just not appropriate. Like, and I think we have to get real in Black communities. Not only are people adverse to the idea of therapy when it's brought up, it does give like, ain't no wrong with me, but also it's like, sorry for that, but like that's the Black community.
That was super accurate.
And so, no, I don't mind a little reshuffle, but in regards to us getting clear as we're adjusting, I do think that there is a lack of clarity for why the Black community needs therapy. And when we're having a situation like this and we're just talking, that is a form of therapy. You know, it's talk therapy. We're talking through things, we're holding space.
Well, not to jump in, but when we speak with intention. So like, I don't want us to give a message that every time you talk to somebody it's therapy, because that's just not true.
But even us having to clarify that, like, I think that's the imposter syndrome that I'm noticing around us not wanting to use the term healing, is that we're making it so dramatic that we're not realized, like we're bypassing the effect. Mm-hmm. And so of course, you know, just talking ain't no therapy. But if you are having intentional dialogues, correct, about some real that you went through with your family member, and you're trying to be objective and hear the other person's perspective and also work on tools for bettering yourself, right, I think you are using certain aspects that can make it therapeutic, yes, although you are not a licensed therapist.
Right. Okay. Don't want nobody coming for us like, you ain't got no therapist. Right. And I know that that's big in the community, for right, for a professional licensed therapist to be like, this is what it is, and what you're doing ain't it. So we just want to acknowledge that we are not in any way licensed therapists, for sure, nor are we saying that what we do should be a substitute for going to a licensed professional. For sure. What I think we are saying is, given our backgrounds and the amount of work that we've done individually, when we came together, there was an intentionality around what do we need to get clear on. And I love this notion of clarity. For sure. I remember one of the previous episodes, you were like, I have never heard this side, right? Absolutely. And that to me was like, oh, I'm having these feelings all up in all of my bed, you know, but I hadn't shared them. For sure. Right. And so how does anyone know how I'm feeling? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I have the responsibility to say, I need you to know what this has done to me and how I felt, but I had never done that. The other thing was, in another previous episode, you said, I didn't know your life before me. You were a whole woman before I got here. You just knew me as I'm mom, but I had all this life before that. Absolutely. And I think that is really important for mothers and daughters, mothers and sons, families. There was a whole thing. Absolutely. Before children showed up. We were whole humans. Absolutely. Doing stuff out here. And so, you know, it's just, those have been the things that I've been reflecting on as I think about, you know, how it allows us to have a deeper reflection and a deeper awareness of each other. For sure. And so to that end, I think it's been successful.
I think it's been a beautiful experience as well. Scheduling time to see my mom. I think that when life gets busy, having a intentional time to literally just talk creates a lot of space for us to know we're going to see each other. It helps me be accountable and helps me prioritize just to, you know, share space with one another. I believe that quality time is a love language for both of us. And so to your point, whereas we're not telling anybody like, oh, this is what you should do, I think that in our conversations, you will see reflections of what you might want to try, or things that you damn sure ain't been doing, or things that you like, wow, other people do that too. And I think that leads me to, apparently, some of y'all been talking to my mom after y'all been watching these videos, and y'all been asking her questions about.
I'm gonna take over now.
I was like, y'all been politicking.
I'm gonna take over now. You know, so the feedback has been amazing. Some people have said to me, this is really helpful because I don't talk to my mom. So it's sort of like what you said. Period. Or like, I didn't have, one person said to me, I wish I'd had the opportunity because their mom is no longer with us. And so they were like, real. I wish I'd had the opportunity to learn, to have some conversations. Real. Someone else said, my mom is not really one to share and seems to be
Guarded, if you will, closed
guarded, if
off.
you will, and closed off. And she was like, I kind of want to, take a stab at having conversations. And so I was able to be like, keep it low key at first. Just go eat
Do
something.
not hop right in with your trauma. Please learn from us.
Right. I was like, just go have a meal, like have an intentional lunch.
Yeah,
right?
talk
Go
about
take a walk.
the Cosby Show or something.
Right. And so, like, that felt really good. There have also been a couple of folks in the community who, when we shared, I think it was the episode where I can't remember which episode, but we were talking about how we hadn't talked. And I hadn't even, it was interesting because they was like, what? So some of the things that she says to you, I'm not good. You just letting your daughter talk to you in your kind of way. And I just want to reframe that. So let me just say, if you're here, Raquel Martin says, if you're here, you're here to learn. So here's what I'm going to say. As Black folks, we know that we have traditionally been oppressed by white supremacy and white oppression. So there's a thing about tone. And so for Black folks, their tone, they could be saying, yes, sir, if it didn't sound correct to those who were in charge, that could be a beating, that could be punishable by death, right? We understand that. If you look a certain way, if your eyes look a certain way, that could be punishable by death. We took that on as Black people. We internalized that. And so when our children would do something, we would often beat them. Number one, because that's what we saw happening. Number two, because we felt like we were protecting them. But most importantly, number three was, you're not going to disrespect me, because we had learned that we couldn't disrespect the person in charge. So I'm taking a deep breath for that, right? So what I want to say is there are times when we as young people, because I remember my mouth when I was young and not mature, right? And, I said some things. Now, did I say what Dorielle said? I did not, because I was a different generation. And I would never say to my mom a couple of things that Dorielle said to me. Just wouldn't say that to Dorielle.
I respect that.
Right. Would not do that.
I respect that.
And Dorielle did feel free to say some things that were absolutely out of pocket, no doubt. But what I wanted...
I respect that.
Yeah.
I honor that.
Absolutely. But what I wanted everybody else to get past was, yes, she said it. Yes, it was hurtful. Yes, I was appalled and shaken and all those things and hurt. And then she came back and apologized.
And respectfully. One, thank you for sharing.
Well, I want to let it pause.
Okay, let it pause. Dramatic pause. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, when your child comes to you, they done done all kind of wilding. They done been out there. For those of us who are Christians, maybe like the prodigal son, shall we say. When your child comes back to you, will you be the father that opens your arms wide and says, kill the fatted calf? Or will you be the one who's got your arms folded like, you said that to me and it hurt me and I will never forgive you? And that's a question that only you can answer.
Yeah, like...
That's it.
It's priorities, too. Let's be clear. My mother absolutely did not talk to me. It wasn't like she was begging me to come back. Like, we're in an abusive relationship. Like, let's be clear. We're not giving y'all the nitty gritty details. But we also have to understand a position of power. Me not having a relationship with my mom is already an L. I'm like, we're acting like, so it's like when we think about, oh, you gonna let her say that? Like, she's already taking care of me. Like, if I'm not around her, I'm getting it out the mud for myself. And of course, if that's sexy, right? If that's hot and you're like, yeah, that's what she should do. Because she said, what is the goal? And let's be honest, my mother specifically said this quote. She was like, you know what? I had to decide if my relationship with you was more important than all of the rest of the other stuff. And she
That's
said
true.
that about each of her kids. It's a choice.
Yes, all four of
So
them.
to your point, when we're right, when we're having the dialogue, you see me making my faces and standing like, because at the end of the day, some of y'all will never have a relationship with your children.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna
Because,
say
let me
that.
clarify, because there's ego and pride in the way. And
Mm.
likewise for the child. There's some times where you have to let your parents say you was wrong. Like, I was just going to be mad. There was things that I feel like my mom could have shifted differently in childhood. And I had a lot of trauma. And I had a lot of things going on that some of that was not her fault. We're all in survival mode, though. That's kind of the point, is that we have to look at it objectively. I say, so I'm not trying to be shady. Like, some of y'all are never going to have a relationship, but without the intention of making the decision. Like, it's really that simple for me. And so I think I just find it, and I'm protective over you because no one applauds you for extending grace to your children. And I think it's only even looking good because we can have a video. But there's multiple times where this is not the first time people have said something and critiqued my mom for caring about her kids. Like, respectfully. And it does get to a point because at the end of the day, when the mirror is put out into the rest of the community, many people have really, really bad relationships with their family. And so by the time I have to hear my mom critique herself, who, mind you, she is already doing so because she's already going against societal expectations of control, being a controlling Black mom, stereotypical, whatever that is. She's trying not to be in that box. And likewise, as a daughter, I don't want to hide from my mother. And there's no applause for that either, because that's what we all do. So I think when we're looking at it, you see, of course, my mom's handling it, and she's older and she's more mature and she has more wisdom. So she's going to handle it in a way of serenity and being like, y'all, like, we're not saying that. But that's the point of having the lineage lessons, is I'm like, some of y'all don't have no business having no critique about what healing looks like. And it's hard. And there's times where I regret those decisions. That wasn't cute. Now, to your point, if we was on here like, ha, you were disrespect, we're not YT colored individuals. There's still class. But I think for me, it just, in all seriousness, it brought up an overall, like you said, this mentality of like, we're also becoming adults. How do you parent and also be adults? How do we forgive?
Yeah.
How do you hold space for that? And how do you like, hey, I can't take this away from you. When you're a child and you act up, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to spank you. I'm going to take away. And when you have individuals that are adults and we're choosing, many people at this age, they're not choosing to have a relationship with their mom and choosing to have these conversations. You just start your own family. And then when I'm like 50, I come to you. When you're like 80, I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's too late then.
Right. That's what we're talking about, though.
Too late. I mean, I think it's so many things.
So many layers.
So I think the first thing is absolutely, this is going to sound very churchy, and it's Sunday, so forgive me for those of y'all who don't prescribe to that. But I was for show in my hurt, and I had to figure out how to get out of my hurt enough to see on the other side of pain. And I think what happens, and that's what real healing is, right? Where you can then acknowledge your pain and then see on the other side of it. I think what happens is, for those of us who are hurting, we stay in it. And then what we do is we recycle it and we go over it. And this is what I should have said. And if I get the opportunity, I'm going to say this for real, and she ain't going to never get it. And then the other part is, you're never going to get a chance to hurt me like that. So I'm just going to keep myself like really, really, really tight. But we don't start to vision, okay, on the other side of pain, what will that look like? And I started to vision that. I was like, and it takes time, right? It takes time. But there is a maturity level that says, what is it that I want? Do I want to be in this pain forever? Because this is painful and it hurts. And I'm tired of hurting. Do I want that? Or what is it that I want? And when I finally landed on what I want more than ever, and I've said this before in this podcast, was to be in relationship with my children. Other than my mother, my 4 offspring are the most important humans on the planet to me. I love a lot of people. I care for a lot of people. But other than my mother, the four people that I carried in my body, they are the most important people to me, which is why it hurts so much when I'm not in relationship with them. And maybe maybe I'm too soft because I've definitely been told that my entire time that I've been a mom. And maybe I'm too nice. And if it was me, I wouldn't do that. And praise God for you. But for me,
Right. Like,
but for me and mine, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be in relationship with him before I'm on my sick bed about dying. And then people, or what I've seen is like there's the funeral and then they fall up in the casket. When I go,
and I'm
I
not
want
doing
them
that.
to be like, you know,
Play
what?
this video back.
Play this video. We had a
Yes,
great
like-
relationship. We went out of town. We went to Vegas and had fun. Like we had a life together that is meaning more than the pain. I could see past that. Now, that does not mean that you get rid of it by being like, oh, I'm like you deny it. What it means is I had to process through it. And again, for the moms and the older folks who are like, oh, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. When Dorielle finally came back, because not unlike the prodigal son, for those of y'all who are churchy, the father did not go out looking for the son when he was gone. The father waited till the son, it says, came to himself. And as he was on the way, the father went to meet him and was like, let me have a party. When Dorielle finally came to me and was like, I think I need to tell you everything that I've learned now in this moment so I can have a relationship, she was totally different and very humble. And that enabled me to be like, okay, let me take a breath, right? And let me try and hear for understanding, not for, the smirk.
Yes, like, oh, I was right type shit.
Yes.
Like, oh, she's coming crawling back. And that's the thing. It's like, we have
Yes.
to understand, like, again, there's power dynamics here. Like, do y'all see this kitchen?
Every
Like,
time we meet in the
respectfully,
kitchen, you'd
like-
be like, look at the kitchen.
Because we have to we have to understand the context of my mom. She's still living her best life. Like she was not over here boom bat battered unprovoked because we did not have. I literally was going through it too, y'all.
I wasn't happy. I don't want to feel
No,
like
no.
I mean,
And
I
I-
was definitely traveling. If that's what
I was like, she was like, this is
I
hard,
was
but
like, I'm going to Cancun.
I'm about to get another bag, And so I think I want us to be mindful. Do not, mistake this vulnerability for a lack of effort.
Uh-huh.
Like, every single word that is coming out of our mouths via this camera on this lineage lesson is hard work.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about 3 a.m., both of us up, not even knowing that we're both awake at the same time,
True.
praying about it, going through the thing, doing the meditation, doing the retreats, doing the journaling, doing the prayer closet,
so much
like
journaling.
the work.
So much journaling.
So when I use words like therapeutic, I'm not saying like I'm saying we, as you would call it, therapy or whichever it is, as Black folks, we have a lot of power within our spiritual practices and within our ability for community. That is why Europeanized standards, they try to push individuality and capitalism
That's not
and
our
all.
thing.
That's because the way that God works through us and leads us back to those relationships and teaches like Jesus loves a good forgiveness. Come on, big Jesus energy. And so
BJE. Big Jesus energy.
Big Jesus energy.
BJE.
And-
I'm taking that for sure.
Right.
For sure.
More importantly, forgiving
BJE.
ourselves. Like,
Mm.
my mom has to forgive herself, where she was like, your daughter had you fucked up.
Mm.
And I have to sit in my room and be like, yo, mom, she got a couple other kids. She'll be good. And combat that, And I think that is where you see me being a little more protective over my mom and myself in this journey. It's like, it's a thankless job to be forgiving. Because like I said, when my mom goes and tells her community that she forget, but it be the same people who know we love God. And if you don't love God, that's cool. You can still watch this
that's not a
podcast.
prerequisite.
But it be those people. Because the people that not true, they're like, oh, I love that. You're on a podcast with your mom? Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And so when we sit and we're reflective of like, the lineage lesson, this desire to move with love and be forgiving,
Yeah.
sometimes it will come with critiques and misunderstanding.
And listen,
And
I'm okay.
that's
And I
okay.
think because there's two things
That's
that I just
okay.
want to point out. What
That's
you see
okay.
here is joy. I'm so happy that my daughter and I listen.
It's about
The
time.
way,
Thank
listen,
you.
Dorielle sent me a voice. What was
Oh,
it? A voice text message. I don't know what it was, but I played that over and over and over. Just hella smiling, just walking through the
For
hallway.
context.
Okay.
Because they're like, what? So, like, what are you talking about? Again, with the joy. They're like, okay, y'all a little
I
too
was just so happy.
My mother and I also are doing facilitation work. She has a business, Harvest Consulting. You know, shameless plug on that. Beautiful anti-racism facilitation, learning emotional capacity, work-life balance, life coaching, etc. Boosting it up.
I love that. Thank you.
And little old me following her footsteps, inevitably, y'all. I wanted to work at a cafe. I swear, like,
Tried to be a waitress.
I really thought that was the path for me, is to be the artsy cafe girl. And God was like, "You're going back to be a teacher. You're gonna teach or else." Anyway,
Right.
so as I am teaching, and I taught African American Black girls 9th grade last year. African American Female Excellence is a project in Oakland Unified School District. Right, you see, I have to switch into my voice. Oakland Unified School District.
I love it. Her
And,
teacher voice.
Dr. Rachelle Rogers Ard was asked to come on and help incite some changes within
to support AFI or USD. So
right.
one of the things that Dorielle does amazingly, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it over. I'm gonna take it over right now.
I'm sorry, I can switch between daughter and I had to.
Yeah, you need a moment to code switch. Let me give it to you. One of the things that Dorielle does amazingly, not outside the frame, is work with young people and to facilitate with young people. I've always been of the notion that nobody wants to hear from me at my age. If you're in high school, they'd rather hear from someone in their mid-20s. And I first hired Dorielle maybe 2024. She's my daughter, but she's excellent. And what she does is she holds space for these young people who feel okay to tell her whatever they want to tell her.
Sometimes too much. So.
Well, yeah. But bottom line, I didn't understand how I could provide support for the program without actually hearing from the students in the program. And since Dorielle taught there last year, I asked her to facilitate a session at her school.
And it was beautiful. My mom sat in a little bit. I told her I apologized for the loud rowdiness. And she said that for all her Castlemont students, whoop, 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 she said that she knows how to get down. And she taught there for a long time as well. And so there was this grandiose meal during the facilitation.
It was pizza.
It was pizza, but it was
first of all, if I'm going to, come on. I'm going to feed young girls.
The boxes were so huge.
It was after school.
We had 40 million to take home boxes, including me having 40 million cups, forks, popcorn. And so I was thirsty as one day at work. And I went into my back closet, and here 47 water bottles and cups were just awaiting my thirstiness. And I had to send her a voice memo, just essentially saying, you know, I really appreciate the small things, the small impacts. You're always being a great mom, working through all of it, being mindful, including me in your journey as an educator, me wanting to be a part of that journey. And just being grateful for those little things. I think that gratitude is a really important part of maintaining a relationship. Jesus. It shifts your perspective. I mean, like I said, the crazy stuff that I said to you, I was like 19. And
that's facts.
I was literally like
facts.
20. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't make it any better. But of course, when I realized I was wrong, I was like, my bad. Imagine me and you don't talk till I'm 30 over something I said at 20. Like, you know, it does add up. But some people do.
Well, because you're right. There was something that you said to Rick, and it's still a thing. And I think you said it at 19 or 20. And she's not going to kill me being out the frame. But he still brings that up,
and
right?
He's valid in his emotions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to clarify
but y'all should need to talk through that.
That's real.
Right,
but
is what I'm saying. Okay.
And I think that's a great example. You know, we got to make that face. I think that right there is a great example of why I'm protective over people in your community, and don't get me wrong, this whole episode is not about people critiquing, but I think it does highlight for me the sacrifices of you choosing this path. Because realistically, like, I'm 26. Having a relationship with your mom is always going to make your life better. All the young people watching this, I'm telling you, like, it doesn't, if it goes well, it's going to go well. It's just going to add aura. It's going to boost you up. It's going to make you better because you're direct reflection. Right. Like, there's stuff that comes up for me all the time. And having someone to actually talk through that about, I'm like, Mom, I think just like you. Or, all of these things. It's very important. But what I'm also noticing as people are coming in, just for you, it's more of a choice, I find.
Well, it's more of a choice because there's so many of y'all. And so I have to really work on that. I was going to say, what you also said is, I bought you some Tide Pods. And you were like, I ain't bought a Tide Pod yet.
Oh, yeah, and the Costco pad.
I just thought that was funny because it goes back to those things that I'm thinking about in terms of, what is a mom? How does a mom make sure that, but if I'm at Costco, I'll pick up an extra thing of Tide Pods, right? I mean, it doesn't take anything away from me to do that. And to your point, when she acknowledged it out the blue, I mean, I was just skipping through the hallway and folks were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "My daughter sent me a voicemail." I mean, it was really, really, really important. Number one, the joy of that. Number two, the fact that we had gotten there, so it wasn't lost on me, right? That you would send that to me at this time when, there was time when I wouldn't hear from you. So that was joyful. But the other thing that I really quickly just wanted to say was, I don't have a problem with anybody saying to me like, "Girl, so you make the blah, blah, blah."
No,
blah,
and
blah.
Keep saying things. That means you're watching it, by the way.
Right. Absolutely. But also, I want to be able to share the reasons behind that. I definitely didn't wake up and was like, everything is forgiven. It was a process. And I've said this before.
It was a process.
But the real process was because I'm really trying to be, trying to have my BJE, my Big Jesus energy. I really, 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 really started praying. I mean, not like, "Lord, bless me," but more like, and I said this on the last episode or whenever that episode was, I was praying for Dorielle and Ben because they were both racking my nerves. And then from there, I shifted my prayer to, okay, Lord, instead of changing them, change me. What do I need to change about myself so that I can be in community with them? And then I was really ranting and I was like, "God, I don't know why they tripping." And God said, the same way that Dorielle is acting with you is the same way you act with me. And I was like, okay, enough said. That was the end of that.
My reflection was realizing that you are a person. Like, I had to, that God was like, God be like,
girl,
right? Like, snatch your coattail. And for those that are sitting with their ancestors, your ancestors will snatch that coattail as well.
Yes.
And I think what's beautiful about that is realizing that, that's part of the lineage lesson. It's like, you are a whole individual, and society, survival mode, Black mom, Black anything, woman, anything, all of it. And so while God was working on both of us from different ends and in different ways. And that's the real tea. And so I said that to say, just to come full circle, the intention of this episode, the clarity of the vision, is understanding love and forgiveness at the root of your relationships, at the root of our relationships, at the root of this entire video, as crazy as we are. Really highlighting and emphasizing gratitude and love and intentionality, and wanting to share that with you all. Not that anyone will agree or that you might institute this, but that you might take something away, and whatever that is, it's above us, honestly. And so, just wanting to move it.
Be like, it's above me.
Because even after I'm probably gonna rewatch this video, I'll be like, damn, I said some crazy. And someone's gonna watch this and be like, "Damn, I be wanting to say some crazy
No, absolutely.
Somebody got to do it, you know? And I think also when I watch back, I'm always appreciative of how me and you are just flowing. That's what everyone says. They're like, wow, it's just so natural. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's pros and cons of all of that processing and forgiveness that, you know, it's hard for people. I mean, we're at a flow now, like where we can just share and just speak. And it's beautiful and it's healing. And I hope that y'all get something from it as well.
So right now, as Dorielle mentioned, this is December, but episode won't air until like first quarter of the new
Probably.
year. And so what my hope is that you spend some time over the holidays with whomever you call family. And
Yes.
I hope that you had some opportunities to maybe have some conversations, to look at your own lineage lessons,
Mm.
to start thinking about your own journey of healing. It's never too late to begin.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best as we end this year and begin the next year. I hope that you are taking something away that can help you on your journey,
For sure. On
on
our
the endless
endless
journey
journey of lineage
of
lessons.
lineage lessons.
Oh, I
Thanks,
love
y'all.
it. Bye.